Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be tying a little bit of a, I guess you could call it like a fire craw type pattern on a swim bait style jig head. So we have three different types of bucktail. I got little scraps of orange left that we're going to throw in there. We got some root beer. We got some red. And then also we got to add in some schloppen. So we got some red schloppen, some orange schloppen, some of which is a little bit worse for wear, but that's okay. So yeah, we're going to throw this thing together. Stick around and let's get to tying. All right, so I'm just going to tie in a couple of schloppen pieces here for the tail. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to overlay the red on top of the orange. My orange feathers aren't the best, and so I'm just going to, plus I think it just looks better that way. And we're just going to measure that up to about there. Pull that down a bit. Yeah. And then we're going to tie that in. And make sure that these don't get twisted. And then we'll tie our other two in. Same thing. Keeping the orange on the inside and the red on the outside. Yep, that should be about right. Maybe pull those out just a bit further. There we go. All right, get those locked in. Give these all a snip. Snip some of this stuff out here. All right, so we got the tail feathers in. I'll just get some of these tied down here. And the next we're going to add some root beer bucktail, and then layer that as we go with orange and red. All right, I just got my root beer here, and I'm just going to line that up. Measure that out. That looks about good. And we're just going to kind of give that a couple of looser wraps and press that around. So everybody knows, or most people know at least, that red and craw, crayfish type patterns are usually good in spring. And where I fish, I've had a lot of success with crayfish, crawfish, however you pronounce it, depending on where you live. I've had a lot of success on those patterns in the spring as well, even though where I live, we don't even have crayfish. But smallies still obviously like that red pattern. And so I figured why not tie a little bit of a jig here that I think will work really well. And we'll see, this will be something that I'm going to swim through the column, not fish on the bottom or anything like that. I'm just going to swim it, fish it with little twitches and things like that. I've tied a similar with this jig head, a clown pattern. So based off of like everybody's seen the clown pattern, like jerk bait or that type of thing. And it was 2 years ago, that was my top producing jig that I caught the most smallmouth on. And so, yeah, I'm sure this will also work. Just kind of, yeah, slowly fishing it and letting it sink and twitching it and just kind of doing all kinds of different actions to it. And yeah, anyways, we're just going to continue along here with adding some red and then orange as we go up. And now I'm just going to add the red, and again, same thing, just tying loose and then working that around the shank of the hook. And I'm going to try to do 2 layers of each color. So now still on my first layer here, obviously, and then I think I'll want to do like a smaller layer of root beer to finish it, perhaps. Just so that maybe there's not so much red showing in. My one feather here keeps twisting a little bit, but that's the way she goes sometimes. And now I'm just going to add a little bit of orange. I don't have a lot of orange left, so we'll add what we have. Some of this, yeah. Add that in. And again, just try to work that around. Spread the wealth, as they say. All right. Get that tight. And try to trap down some of these here, so that we're not left with too much bulk. Yeah, and then we're just going to repeat the process. All right, now I'm just adding in my second layer of root beer. Got some. I'm trying to keep that fairly malleable and not, but still taut at the same time. Just work that around, and if need be, I can always just flip the jig over and go from there. But that looks about okay. Maybe, yeah. All right, we'll secure that in. All right, now I am going to just add, so I got my root beer in, and now I'm going to add a bit more red, and then I'm going to finish it with some of those orange pieces on top. I'm going to choose some orange pieces that have a bit more, maybe a bit more like darker orange to them, so they're not so bright. Should be right. And I probably added a bit too much root beer there on that second round, but oh well. All right, we'll get that around. And now I'll just add some of these more sort of like darker orange pieces. And we'll get those tied in. And again, just work those around. Okay, I'm going to give that a few good tight securing wraps here. And then we're going to trim around here a bit. And then we're going to add a couple of feathers around the collar just for some added action. Get that as close as I can. All right, that'd probably be good enough. Yeah, I'm just going to add a red and a orange schlappen feather just for collaring purposes. Got to find something decent here, and yeah, and then we'll be done. All right, so I got my two feathers here. I'm just holding them together and tying them in by the tips. Making sure those are in, and you can leave this, that doesn't matter. And I'm gonna palmer these in together. Just do a couple of rounds. and we'll be done. We'll leave it at that there. Just trying to work my way through here. And that should be good. Snip those off. Get rid of any scragglers. And if you need your bodkin at this point to pick out any of these hairs that got trapped, then that's the time to do it. I should have maybe trimmed up around the collar there with the bucktail a little bit better, as I can see some of that. I mean, the fish won't mind, obviously, but it just doesn't look as nice. But that's all right. You can't have them look super pretty all the time, I guess. But yeah. So we're just going to do a couple of finishing wraps here, and then we'll give her a whip finish. And yeah, and we'll even though my tank's not really big enough to swim jigs around in, we'll give it a few. We'll put it in just to see what it looks like. Give you an idea, anyways, of what it'll be. All right, so we're gonna drop her in here, and as I said earlier, pretty hard to actually give this thing a good swim in my little tub of a tank here, but you know, you'll get the idea, I guess. So pretty much, yeah, I would just fish this like this, just kind of hop it along like that, let it sink, slow reel it. If I actually had more spacer, you could see that the schlappen feathers on the tails, they do start to kick and stuff like that. But pretty much, yeah, I would just fish this, hopping it along like that, short little bobs like that, just reeling it slow and hopping it like that. Yeah, I think this will get bit. Pretty upset about that botched up collar, but hey, what are you gonna do? They can't all be good. That's how you learn. Anyways, folks, thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Take care out there, and we'll see you next time.